Everyone pretend podcasting isn't boring.
Today I chat with Els, a passionate climate warrior with whom I did a workaway, helping her recovering houses from a flood. We talk about the environment, alternative solutions for climate change, and much more. She has been working in Belgium and Indonesia creating consciousness about climate change. I hope you enjoy the episode. But first remember, Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. It is free, has everything you need to record and edit audio using your smartphone or computer. You can even make money through ads. With one click, your content goes to Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, and many other platforms. So download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm. That is ANCHOR.FM and start today. Now, let's turn around to our chat.
I'm born in Belgium.
So you lived through the Cold War era, right? Like around your teen years, your 20s, it was a part of the Cold War era?
Yes.
How was that in Belgium?
Actually, I wasn't busy with that at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
We were not, we young people, we were busy with discovering ourselves. It was like not easy because there was a very, very big difference between the generation of our parents and ourselves. Because imagine that I had a sister that is 14 years older than me. And then we had this huge gap, and this was like the flower power era. And things were changing drastically. There was this free love thing. And my father married my mom, and my mom never ever had another lover in her whole life. And our parents were still saying like silly things to us. For example, I had a mom that said to me, "Don't let the man look at you." Now, I still don't really get this message, because it was like, to me, if I analyze that, it was like, make sure you look ugly or something like that. So it was very strange. I was totally lost, and we never even heard about the Cold War.
Yeah. So it was more like about the peace and love era. Like you would, like, that was the relationship.
Yeah, and the music and yeah, fashion, and yeah, like the hippies. It was like a fashion, actually.
And did you like that fashion?
Well, it was difficult actually, because my parents were my father was very strict. My mother had no authority whatsoever. And then I had these sisters and these brothers that were all trying to develop themselves and find their way in this world. And I was completely lost. I was totally lost.
Yeah?
I was totally lost.
But you were like the black sheep of the family, or not?
And not that time, definitely not. No. That was my brother, my older brother.
He was a rebel?
Yeah, he was a rebel, and he was actually doing lots of stupid stuff. But then, because we knew he was doing lots of stupid stuff, whenever somebody else did something stupid, he would get the blame, because yeah, there was so much stuff that he had done wrong, that it could be only him, even if it wasn't, stuff like that.
So did you blame your brother for some things that you did sometimes?
No, I was a good kid. I was really a good kid. Yeah. I wasn't smart, and I didn't find my way. I couldn't find my way. Even though I was in a big family, I was very often very lonely. Very lonely. Yeah, we were with 8 people, but we were very lonely. I think most of us were very lonely.
Yeah, sometimes like in these big families, they are so big that it's difficult to pay attention to each kid, right? Like as an individual. Like in my mom's case, it was like so many that some people said like I barely remember memories with my dad. Like my older brother is the one that was taking care of me and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There were so many.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be difficult and very different than now, right?
Things have changed a lot. Yeah. Some things have changed for the better, but many other stuff has changed for the worse.
And what do you think is better, to have 8 kids, 5 kids, 2 kids, 1 kid?
Right now?
Yeah.
I'm even wondering if we should have any kids at all right now. But this is like a tough one, because that's like one that I cannot answer, because from what moment can you say that a life has a value, that it's worth living, if you know that there's lots of trouble coming? So, as I said before, like the way I see the future for this planet, human being on this planet, I don't see it good. There is going, the planet is being depleted. We are taking way too much natural resources, and the planet doesn't have time to reproduce it in time for us, and we are reproducing all the time. So you don't have to be a genius to know that trouble is coming. This is even just apart from all the rest, like the difference, the injustice between the rich and the poor, the slavery, the hunger, people, the illnesses, the people that are starving in some places, or people who don't have water, or people who get sick because of chemicals. Apart from that, it's like you don't have to be a genius to know that trouble is coming. So
I guess that's one of the reasons why you choose to live here, trying to live with solar panels and try to not consume electricity.
Well, off-grid.
Yeah.
Off-grid helps me to be more conscious. To live off-grid makes me more conscious. But it's not just living off-grid, because living off-grid with a lot of money is easy. That's very easy. But living off-grid with little money, that's less easy. Much, much less easy.
Yeah.
But you get something back in return.
Yeah.
And what you get back in return is you get back in contact, a stronger contact, a better connection with nature. And nature is what we are.
Yeah.
We are a small part of nature, and from this whole thing, and we can get connected to this whole thing by treating it with respect and being grateful for what we get from it, and feeling the love around us. Of course, sometimes nature can be cruel as well, but in its cruelty, it's got a righteous way.
And do you think that in Belgium is like people pay more attention to the problems, the nature's problems, like related to global warming and stuff like that?
Now that's a difficult one as well, because it's not really difficult. if I look into the streets, I'd say no, not at all. Because nobody wants to give up his big car. Nobody wants to give up his big, beautiful house. The government isn't doing much good to that. I mean, public transport is still very bad. We have good-looking trains and good-looking buses and all this, but we have it's not accessible for everybody, and it is not frequent enough. So people and it's not reliable. So the people actually, they have to get a car. And I mean, the CEOs are earning so much money, and they are not capable even of having trains on time, even when there aren't so many trains. I mean, that's ridiculous. Sometimes I'm just thinking, okay, the government just doesn't want this to function properly, so that the cars keep on going, so they can get the taxes from the fuels and from the cars, that because people pay tax to drive their car on the roads. So it's really ridiculous what is going on.
And what do you think could be a good solution?
A good solution to which problem? Because there are so many problems.
Let's say to global warming.
Actually, we need to restart this whole thing all over. We have to make things all over again. Actually, people have to realize that status symbols is just helping us to destroy like everything. It's not important. A status symbol is not important. How good the kids are, or how many activities they have besides school is not important. So many people, when they have kids, they are being taxi driver. They bring them to the ballet class, they bring them to the motocross racing, they bring another one to the tennis, and they are like the taxi drivers of their kids, you know. And in the end, the kids, okay, doing sports is good, but I remember when I was a kid, our sport was playing around and with other kids, and we would climb in trees, and that would be our sports, and it would be really good.
Yeah, it's kind of like, now it's almost like a project, right? Like the kids, like there is so much competition between them. There is like, okay, I need my kid to be in this level so it can compete in the market, and at the end it becomes like, we become like products for the market, right? Like,
yeah,
who can be like best professionist so he can have the best life and stuff like that.
Yeah, and actually that's very good you're saying this, because who decides what life is the best? That's very difficult. But one thing I know is that I see that people have lost themselves, because and me too, in many things I'm definitely lost. I still have so much to learn, but people are so disconnected from their roots, and the roots, the real roots is nature. And people are disconnected from nature. I mean, this is from our very essence of life. And we tear our kids also out of this root. So, yeah, it's pretty problematic.
But, now, like one of the things that you do is that you work, you help in Indonesia, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you do. Could you tell me a little bit more of what you do there, and how did you start doing that work?
Okay, so quite a while ago, I was doing trading jewelry with Indonesia, and I was also actually I started doing the trading because my late husband was Malaysian, and I have a daughter with my late husband, and we came back to Belgium, but I didn't want my daughter to lose her roots, cultural wise. So making my yearly trip to Indonesia was good to take her on a holiday as well, and being connected to her roots as buying or ordering the jewels that I wanted. And I started to have like a bond with this country, like Indonesia. Now, Indonesia and Malaysia used to be one country. Long before, when I was living in Malaysia, I used to go to Indonesia to renew my visa. So I knew Indonesia a little bit, and it was going between Malaysia and Indonesia. Then later, when my husband passed away, there was the trading with the jewelry, and my daughter seeing our family over there. They are not blood relatives, but it's like, to us they are family, and to them we are family as well. And this is how I got to Indonesia, and I started to see so many problems over there that were actually caused just because of disinformation. Because people didn't have information. I made my decision to share my knowledge with the people.
Told me that it was like you saw a pregnant woman, right? Can you tell me the story?
One of the things that hit me heavily and that I will never ever forget is like a woman that was pregnant and she was about to give birth, and she was squatting in a squatting position, and she had swept the floor, and there people have the culture of whatever they have used to just throw it there, right there where they are walking or standing. And actually that was okay, because for example, people didn't have any industrial foods or anything, so it would be a banana peel or a mango peel or whatever peel, and after 2 weeks it would be gone, and there wouldn't be any tarmac or anything like that. But then that was plastic and batteries, I mean anything, you name it, they just sweep it together and they put fire to it, and they lit fire to it, and they put the kettle on it to make coffee or tea. So this woman had been sweeping everything together, and she was putting a fire, and the kettle was there, and the wind was turning, and like all this smoke of this plastic was going right into her face, that of her baby, and she was about to give birth, and this was like hitting me. This was like a bomb dropping on me, and then I decided this I cannot let this be anymore. I need to let the people know that this is dangerous, and that they can avoid this by preferably not buying the stuff. But of course that's very difficult, because people think that they are worth more if they buy something from the shop than if they take something from their own tree or something like that. It's a Western thing. It's people over there mirroring themselves to the West and believing that what we are doing is better. And I try to turn this a little bit back and to tell them, don't live in stone houses, of course, because, and I explain why. A bamboo house is cooler, and it's less dangerous, because when there are earthquakes, it doesn't crack, it doesn't break down, it's not heavy, stuff like that.
In Mexico, it's like it happens the same, like they mirror things. Like I remember my grandmother used to have like a lot of trees. Like it was like normal that in the house there was like fruit trees, and the next generation, like they just decided that was cool to put like cement instead of trees. So we had an avocado tree now the avocado is very expensive. They cut the avocado. We had like different fruits, but we have one that is called guayaba. I don't remember in English, but also they cut them down, like a lot of things. And I see it like the way you see it, like it's kind of mirroring. And it was almost like the same year that they cut the avocado tree and they go and buy avocados in the store. It's kind of like it's kind of weird, but yeah, it happened frequently.
Yeah. So actually, I made a mistake because just now I said I tell them, but no, I don't really tell them what to do. I try. Of course, like the lady with the smoke, I had to go through a whole explanation to make sure that she understood that this was like really very unhealthy. And on top of that, and that makes things even worse, is that, for example, if she would give birth to a disabled baby, then the people would say that she must have done a big sin because that she is getting punished by God.
They have that.
They have that, and then she would be scared to bring out the kid into public because it would make that the people see her as a sinner and that her sin becomes visible. So it's really...
This is the weirdest thing that you saw in Indonesia, or there are more things that is like, oh my God?
No. There is many things. Yeah, I mean, babies in a plastic bag, newly born babies in a plastic bag in the riverbed. It happens, yeah, and quite regularly.
And why they just
Yeah, this is girls that get pregnant without being married, and they get rid of the baby as soon as it is born.
Was it difficult to live in Indonesia?
Yes, I'm still going there. It's not for fun that I'm there. It's a beautiful country, especially from far, because it's once you get down on the ground, it's a garbage can. Yeah. There's lots of garbage.
Whole Indonesia.
Well, no, yeah, but of course there is a few exceptions. For example, Surabaya is like the cleanest city from Indonesia, as far as I know. But I know there is many countries that are much worse. I mean, so that would make Indonesia clean. But then Belgium is becoming dirty as well. It used to be much cleaner before. It's becoming much dirtier. But if you compare it to Indonesia, it's still clean here.
Yeah.
I don't consider it clean at all, Belgium. But I mean, if you have to compare, there are places that are much worse than Indonesia, but there's also places that are much better than Indonesia.
Of course.
So, but it breaks my heart because it's so beautiful, and it's poison, and people get poisoned and they pay for it and they don't even know.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, they don't know. But the things are slowly changing now. It's not going to save the world, but if we can also explain to people why it's okay, they are surprised I only have one kid. They ask me, why only one?
They ask you?
Yeah, why only one? Yeah, why only one kid? And so I explained that the world is overfull.
Yeah.
That we are becoming like a pest on the world, and that we are killing Mother Earth. That because we are killing Mother Earth, that she is at the source of our living, while they say, no, God is the source of our living. So sometimes I just ask them, so what do you think is going to happen if it's too dirty, or if there is no more plants, or if it's too hot, that God is going to come and he's going to install an air conditioning for the whole world, and that he's going to bring an air purifier and purify the air and bring bags of fruit and food and animals to eat, and then they actually know that this is not going to happen. So somewhere they know that is not going to happen.
So when you tell them these things, it's kind of like they start reflecting and say like, okay.
Not all of them, because it's scary. I mean, sometimes it's so scary that they just collapse. They close up and they just go to the mosque and pray.
Actually, there is a theory about that is the modern societies, by understanding more, is like, okay, we are more responsible, and we understand that, for example, if there is like a flood, it's not God, but it's our own making. And this has like two things. Like, we think that we want to have the option, but having the option is also a responsibility. So it's kind of like, if we are free to do whatever and there is no God to tell us, then we are actually responsible for our actions, and that's heavy on us. And in this theory, they were saying like, the guy that was, I don't know, the son of a shoemaker, he knew that he was going to be a shoemaker and his son was going to be a shoemaker, and he could say, well, this is my life. It's what God gave me, and I'm a shoemaker. So it took away all the responsibility to change or to do something else. So it's a little bit difficult to say, okay, it's us.
But one of the things that I like to say is that, okay, it's us, but I think that we, countries that have more money, that have more knowledge, should take our responsibility and share our knowledge, and not only that, but also support those countries that we have been depleting. I just give an example. Indonesia has got a lot of palm oil, and it destroys the nature because they take away the forests. And I mean, this is like terrible, because Indonesia is a hotspot of biodiversity. So there is like so many species that we are losing over there. And it's so that we could have cheap palm oil, and that we can have cookies and cakes and whatever processed food cheap. 365 days a year in the supermarket, and we just have to grab and we eat it, and we don't realize what we are eating, and it's not even a feast anymore. It's like so normal to have everything all the time at any time, and cheap. So that doesn't work for me.
The thing is that for some people, I remember, I don't know, I really don't remember from where this story comes, but the story comes that when a woman saw the running water in like a developed country, she started to cry and said like, you know how much, like, you're just letting it, you're open and the water just go, and you know that I need to carry the water and go. It's not like, it's not only the idea of having water, but all the effort that for me takes to have water.
Yeah.
It's not easy, and we are so used to have everything just like that.
Yeah.
You know?
But it has an impact on the other side of the world in the first place. But in time, it has the impact everywhere.
Yeah.
One of the reasons that I believe is that human beings' brain usually is like thinking in a linear way, while the reality is exponential. And with this small brain, I don't think we will be ever capable of understanding and what the impacts are of what we are doing. And that's one of the reasons why I try to have a simple life. I try to live simply.
Now, you also do the festivals here.
Yes.
That I assume is also a good way to expose people here to these ideas of trying to consume less and stuff like that. How do you think they receive it?
Well, some people don't like the idea of not having everything they want anytime, but others can understand that the joy is so short-lived with all the materialistic stuff that they start to think that there is other things. Because of course, I'm not just talking about the deprivation of this or that. Yeah, maybe chocolate, or maybe cakes, or maybe mangoes that are coming from the other side of the world. But then when you actually do it occasionally, you enjoy it so much more.
Instead of deprivation, like the moderation of it.
The moderation, that would be a good step. And that, I mean, it's today I am a different person than what I was 10 years ago. And it took like steps, and it needed reflection and acting accordingly. And like this is like something very important for me, is to be consequent in my lifestyle. For example, well, one of the things which is very important for me is like I have to be able to be in peace with myself. And if I think and I'm convinced of one thing and I do something different, that is going to make war within myself.
Yeah.
And I want peace with myself. Because if I cannot have peace with myself, how am I going to have peace with someone else? So this is like very important, to live to what convinces me at this moment. Because of course tomorrow it might be different. I might get different information, there might be new proofs, and it might still be wrong, but at least I try to do the correct thing so that those that are younger than me have a little bit of extra time.
And also, like, thinking about what you're saying of you enjoy it more, like when you have it like in small quantities. Like nowadays, like everybody's worried about like how people get instant gratification in social media, and they have a lot of mental problems because they want, like, they feel bad if they don't get the likes and all that stuff. But they don't apply it to like what happened before. Like in a way, taking for granted that you have, for example, internet 24 hours, some sort of instant gratification. Like you assume that it's there, and you don't consider all the work that is behind there, or electricity, or having a warm place, or having a roof over your head. And in a way, I think that is kind of the scarcity, not like in a bad way, but like, let's say the moderation or the deprivation, sometimes it kind of make you understand that, you know, like this is difficult. Like having electricity is a whole process, and it gets a whole thing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I just wonder if people could be ready to consume less. I don't know. What do you think?
Like right now, I think like most of the people don't realize how bad the situation is. And sometimes I wonder, where is the love of the parents for their children?
Yeah.
Because here we have access to information.
Yeah.
Practically all of them. Nearly, it's an exception, not everybody, but it's exceptional those who don't. I mean, to do our own research. And then if we know that somebody doesn't have access to the information, we can share the information, and it just doesn't happen. I don't know why people want to be more than someone else, or think that they are more or worth more or higher or stronger or whatever because they own more. I don't feel less because I own less. To the society, to the system, I'm worth nothing because I don't contribute enough to this system.
To the consumption.
Yeah.
So it's like you don't consume enough, so
you're not worth it.
You're not part of the society that consumes.
Yeah, but I'm still alive and I'm still here and I'm part of the world.
Yeah. What do you like more about this type of life?
The connection with my roots to become real. It means to me to live, actually really live. Yeah? To feel the cold, to feel the hot, to heat, to know that I have to make an effort being in contact, in direct contact with myself and the nature. I mean, of course, actually, I don't like to separate myself and nature because we are one. And doing this, I'm interconnecting. I'm just sorry that I wouldn't be able to go and live in the bush again.
No.
I can't do it because I'm physically, it's impossible.
What do you mean again? Like, have you done it before?
No. Well, when I was young, lots of camping just with a little tent and with very little. But I mean, like really, like let's say that if we would know, if we would be solidary, so if there wouldn't be the big gaps of rich and poor, and if we would be not striving for power and being more than someone else, and like be loving and caring for each other, and maybe in small communities or smaller communities, and it would be definitely possible to live in a cabin with very little and just with an open fire or I don't know, like even much simpler than now.
Yeah.
What I'm doing now.
In a tent? Would you live in a tent?
That's
too much, right?
And
what do you think?
now not anymore, but a yurt, definitely. You know a yurt? You don't know a yurt?
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's like the one, but bigger.
It's round and lower from, I think in Nepal, the Mongols. Yeah. This, definitely.
So you will be completely like a nomad if you could, just like.
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh yeah, definitely.
Would you like to travel the world like that, just stopping and just going to bed in your yurt and then just waking up and moving maybe with a caravan, horses, people,
Yes.
Is it attractive?
That is very, very attractive to me.
Where would you like to do it?
Where?
Europe?
All
Asia?
over, anywhere. But yeah, anywhere where people wouldn't cause us any trouble, and we wouldn't cause any trouble. Where we can just respect and be respected and share our culture or what we share.
A few days ago, I asked you if you could live in another time, which one would you pick? And you said, like, well, it's difficult.
It's very difficult.
Do you have an idea now? Or this is like the best time to live?
No, not at all. It's definitely not the best time to live. No.
In the 70s, 60s, 70s.
Actually,
peace and love.
Yeah, peace and love. That was really good. But all this stuff that we are confronted with now was already going on. The first reports of global warming were in the 50s. So, the people that came out with that information were called stupid or whatever, and now it's actually the truth.
It is very funny because at least in the United States, this is incredible. In the United States, there is this clear kind of division nowadays between Democrats and Republicans, and the Republicans being like pro kind of like money, and the Democrats are more like socialist kind of like that. But the funny and the left is also related to being worried about the environment. But the funny thing is that actually the first that get worried about the environment were the Republicans, which are like the conservatives and stuff, were the Republicans. But the Democrats said, well, that you are worried about the environment because you want your playing golf and everything in a nice place. So that's the only reason why you are worried about that. While we are worried about strikings and hungry and stuff like that. So, but actually, the first that they were like promoting the idea of like respecting the environment were the Republicans, and now it's completely the opposite. So it has been like quite some time this idea of the environment, but I just see that politicians kind of navigate to the positions in the way they fit the best, or they can take more advantage. I don't know if there is the same.
Well, actually, yeah. In my opinion, the politicians that they are only worried about having their job and being re-elected, because it's not going to say that it's an easy job, and definitely not all the time. But come on, they have a big salary. They are immune, yeah. And I think this is totally wrong. They shouldn't have immunity. And no, this is it's. But of course, it's a law that they made to protect themselves. But immunity is not a good thing, because it's like automatically you relieve them from responsibility. So that is something that should definitely change. And then also, like, they don't ask any input from the public what to do, because there is so many simple solutions. And they just don't do it. And why they don't do it? Because they don't want to be unpopular, and they don't want to lose their jobs, and and they don't want to lose. What they don't want to lose is the money also, and the good life, because they have fancy caterings, they have good wine, they have big parties, and all. This is all outside their salary.
What simple solutions do you see that they?
Well, there is for example, now here in Belgium, we have a quite recent problem, is that the energy is going up really very expensive. All types of energy. And when I go home, usually I like to drive pretty late, or because then there is less traffic. And if I drive, because I try to avoid that as well. But I see lots of big buildings with offices that are empty. There's no people in it, and all the lights are burning. And then you have all those publicity, those billboards, you call it, that are using all those lights and the neon lights. And even on the highway, they are like, there is so much light, and I think it's not necessary. Number one, at the contrary, it's polluting for nature. It's not good for the animals.
Yeah.
And for example, if you have too much light on a highway and the highway is empty, you have much more people that just press on the gas. No, they exceed the speed, and exceeding the speed is even more polluting. The faster you drive, the more you pollute. Yeah. So, I mean, come on, all this is ridiculous. And then now there is a company, there is thousands and thousands of people that did a group. They bought in a big group energy to a Belgian electricity company, and it went bankrupt. So because I don't know exactly why, but anyway, it went bankrupt, and all those people are in trouble now. And
so basically they bought the company.
No,
they
bought electricity from the company with a big group to get a cheaper price and to get a fixed price. Now, the energy prices has gone up so much, actually, that they had to provide the electricity at a certain price, but they were paying more. The company was paying more than what they were selling it for.
So they couldn't maintain it.
They couldn't maintain it, so they went bankrupt. Okay. So this is like the basic information, because what actually happened inside the company, I don't know. Yeah. So anyway, so we have all these higher prices, and this is affecting many thousands of people. Because, okay, we have the big cars and the big houses. We have many people that are living above their standard. Yeah. So this is also going to cause lots of trouble, and things are getting more and more expensive. And those who have the less will, of course, suffer the most. So, for example, it should, in my opinion, is stop the lights on the highways. Stop. Don't allow companies to have the lights on at night. I mean, this is ridiculous. This is just a waste. So suddenly there will be more energy on the market, and it's just a question of offer and demand, So things will get in a better balance. So if we talk about energy, this is like an easy one.
What do you think, like the people, like the normal people that they are living like in their houses could do to reduce their carbon footprint? Like it's difficult for them to have a life out of the grid, but they want to contribute. What do they do out of the grid?
Off grid. Yeah. Okay. I mean, off grid is not really necessary. Yeah. I mean, off grid is just because I am here in this place. Actually, when you're not off grid, you can make many choices. We have like systems that are not using a lot of energy, and that can heat the house, or it can cool down the house. Air pumps. So with a system that when it's too hot, it will exchange the heat and the cold as it's needed. Yeah. So that's a good system, and solar panels can help, but the storage is still a problem. Actually, in my opinion, there is only one solution, only one, and that is to consume less, which means smaller houses or more people in the same house. Yeah. So actually, it means if it comes down to heating, using less. You can actually, if you want to feel comfortable, I mean, you don't want to feel cold. And in wintertime, you need heating, and the smaller the spaces, the faster it is going to be hot. And if it's good, well insulated, if there is a good insulation, then it is going to stay warm longer.
So what about getting cold? Like when it's too hot?
When
like
it's too hot,
houses.
okay. Like for example, I know, but this is like the thing. Like if you have a good insulation, actually, if you have money, in my opinion, is you have to take care first of all of the insulation of the house. This is like a priority if you have a house. This is my opinion, and I took a course on transforming houses, renovations.
To make it like greener.
To make a lower impact. So we call it low energy houses or passive houses.
Okay.
So the passive house is like the best one, but again, I see some people who have like very big passive houses, and again,
it's like it defeats the purpose. It's like it's so big that it ends up consuming the same that a
No, it doesn't, because it's passive.
So it doesn't consume anything.
No, it's passive. It means it's like zero.
Zero. Oh wow.
Yeah, it's like zero. It's not minus. It's not plus. It's like zero. Yeah.
In everything, it doesn't consume electricity. Like
No.
It's self-sustainable.
Yes, totally self-sustainable. And the passive houses, on top of that, they have all year round about the same temperature. They're great. They're absolutely great.
Is it expensive?
You can earn it back. Yeah, it is expensive at this moment. It's still quite expensive, but you can. There's many courses you can build it yourself. But I wouldn't want to have it very big, because the space you take for the house is space that you cannot plant anything anymore. But some people have passive houses with their garden inside the house. So they would say, we can plant stuff and produce oxygen and store CO2. But we have another thing, and that is, for example, the rainfall. So one thing that is definitely sure, the space that the roof of the house takes cannot absorb any rainfall.
And that affects the soil.
Well, of course, for example, if you have everything with beton, like you said in Mexico, they start doing that. Concrete, everything concrete. Everywhere where you have concrete, the rain falls, the soil cannot absorb it.
Yeah.
So, in the end, this is helping to cause floods. It's not the only reason, but it's one of them. Yeah, of course.
But bigger roofs wouldn't mean that they can collect water?
It's also possible. It's also possible.
Is it safe to drink the water? Like, because you were telling me
Rainwater? No, I don't drink rainwater. I wash my hair with it, and I wash my body with it, and I do the dishes with it, but I don't drink it.
You were telling me about this plastic thing?
The microplastics, yeah.
How is it? Like,
I don't know really how it gets into the rain, but what I do know is that you can find it practically everywhere on the planet now. And that the researchers have shown that we are like in a month time, we are like getting into our body about the equivalent of one plastic bank card of microplastics in our body.
We don't spell it. Like we don't.
Probably we will some, but some will stay as well. That's for sure.
Like there are a lot of things that we don't know that we are causing ourselves into our body, right?
Yeah. Well, actually, one of the problems that we also have in our current systems is that governments have these types of health inspections, I mean, for productions of products, and then they actually only do some tests with, for example, I'm just giving an example, what happens if we have 5 different types of chemicals together, yeah, what is the reaction? Okay, and for example, then they know what is the reaction, and this is cancerinogenous and this is safe and all this kind of stuff. But then this is very limited because so many different stuff is actually all around us. I mean, and the material from this wall and the paint on this wood, inside the plastic, inside the vinyl, the floor, and it's all different chemicals.
I mean, asbestos used to be used.
Yeah. But this was like just asbestos. This is one thing. Yeah. But then if you have asbestos in your lungs with dioxin that gets out of smoke, what is the reaction? Yeah. So there is so little research on this matter that actually I think that it has neurological effects on us.
Yeah, and actually in one of the lectures that I was taking, they were talking about this. It's called ecopsychology or something like that. That it's there is a deep connection between how our mind works and how close to nature we are. And there is a reason why listening to nature calms us, make us calm and stuff like that. It's like millennia of, like thousands and thousands of years of being developed in nature, and very little that we live in big cities and all this, and our mind is just creates some sort of chaos in us. So definitely, I believe that is, for example, being here, it just make you more, like it's more peaceful or more mindful. It's kind of like, okay, like it's more, your mind is more relaxed, like being close to nature. And also what you were talking about the lights, I think one plus is that you can see the stars like we see them here. Like when the sky is open, it's like, it's so enjoyable. It's just so incredible how many stars we can see if we just turn off the lights.
Yeah, but there's a lot of politics behind it. I mean, there is a lot of dirty stuff as well going behind that is very well closed up that we don't know exactly. So because it's not normal, it's just so absurd. It's beyond being absurd. It's so absurd that it's more than being absurd. It's unconceivable. Just like we, with our brains, cannot conceive actually what is going on in this macro,
right?
In this macro system. I'm talking about the natural system now, how everything works. That's also the amount of absurdness that I see. It is so absurd that I cannot conceive it. I cannot conceive that ego and money and status symbols go over the safety of the people that we love, the safety of our own children. I mean, those people that are making the decisions, they have children, and they know if they don't have the balls to do the right thing, their children are going to pay the price.
And what do you think they think?
I don't know. I can't understand it. That's what I'm saying. It's crazy.
It's like they don't care.
I cannot.
But do you think that they don't care or they don't believe it?
No, they know. Now they know. Now they know.
They just don't care.
Before they doubted. And you know, it's easier not to believe as long as you don't have, you know, it's, you can always say that a shit doesn't smell bad, but once somebody rubs your nose in it, then you are not going to say anymore that a shit doesn't smell bad. But they still do. Yeah, but even though they know, and they smelled it, and they know it's stinky, they still do as if not.
Do you think that they are just like putting all the pieces together to continue being the owners of the game? I mean, like, okay, let's say, for example, today I was watching a report from our team that, granted, is from Russia, but sometimes they do accurate reporting, and they were talking about precisely the electric cars that you told me that is not the solution.
No.
And they were saying the pollution that the electric cars create is like really big, and the mining that they do in the countries is really big. So I don't know if, how can I say, like the heads of this game, this economical game, is kind of like, you know, like, we accept that it exists, we accept that it's right, we are going to do something about it, but first we need to be in a position in which we continue being the powerful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like let's just wait to have electric cars until all of us have electric car companies, and then we promote the electric car, you know, things like that.
Yeah, it's possible, but I mean, you don't even have to go that far. It's like, I think that our politicians, they have been promoting so much electrical cars by now that they cannot, even though that now they know that it's not the solution, that they cannot withdraw because it is going to cause disbelief between the public, within the public. Yeah. But for me, it's okay. They are human beings. They have made mistakes. Why do you have to go through with it if you know it's a mistake? Even if it could have been signed already, if it's a mistake, it's a mistake. Yeah?
They don't want to.
No, it's not a solution. The solution is good public transport.
Like public transportation and
good
bus
one. I mean, that you can have it. Okay, I don't know if you have ever heard about the project Venus from Jacques Fresco.
No.
The man died, but he was, in my opinion, he was brilliant. And then he had like designed the city, and in that city there would be public buses, and each time at each bus stop, the bus would charge electricity, but just for this short moment. Yeah, so the batteries wouldn't have to be very heavy, so they would have a lot less impact in the production.
Yeah.
And very little maintenance, and they could like practically go around all the time. Yeah. Okay, now this is just one part, but I mean, okay, it's still electrical and it's still, but I mean, what is going to happen with the electrical car? How many people are you going to see and sit inside that car that is fit for 5 people?
Yeah.
How many? Very often, only one.
I mean, it's difficult.
Well, it's not a thing
but
for me.
But also that happened with gas.
What do you mean with gas?
Like people are driving without, like only one person, without any passenger.
I know, but the thing is, that's why the solution is reliable and very frequent public transportation. And they know that.
Well, the public transportation here is crazy.
It's
inexpensive.
It's very expensive. You cannot trust it.
I really cannot believe it. Like, really, the price is unbelievable. Like,
It's
really.
very, very, very expensive.
Even with the train thing that you told us about, like
That's
this,
the cheapest.
yeah, and still it's kind of like,
It's very expensive.
Yeah.
You know, if you would have come from Brussels to here with a simple ticket, it would have been around 23 or 24 euro.
It's crazy.
Yes.
But the thing is that in some places, even here in Belgium, flights have become so cheap that it's cheaper than taking a bus. That is like, well, then I take plane,
Yeah.
and it's a lot more pollution.
Yeah. So this is the thing that must change. What are they going to do now? They are going to tax the flights. Okay, that's a good thing.
Yeah, but then reduce the train and reduce the bus. And
That's the thing. Actually, Luxembourg, right next here,
yeah,
free public transport.
that's I want to visit now just because of that.
This is like what we need, But the problem is the government says it's not going to make enough money anymore if the cars. And in my opinions, I honestly, I seriously think that the government doesn't want to have good public transport so that the people have no choice than to take their cars.
Yeah.
So that they can have the tax money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because even like the more developed countries and more progressive countries in that matter, they bet for the idea of electric cars. Like, I reduce the price for you to get an electric car instead of betting for the idea of public transportation, or at least
They can tax
better
that.
connected.
Yeah.
What about taxes from the owners of the car that go straight to public transportation? Like, if you want to have a car, you will need to be a very important money giver for public transportation. Like, it will be a heavy tax that can be only used for public transportation.
Yeah, of course, this type of things also have to be discussed. But of course, it's not going to be only for public transportation. It's also going to be for the infrastructure of the public transportation. And then also we have the public the infrastructure for the cars itself, for the private sector. Now, I'm also like, one of the things that I'm also I like is car sharing. There should be like a system for one, if you really need a car, that you can get to it quite easily without necessarily owning one.
What do you think about Uber?
I have no idea. Honestly, I don't know how this works, so I cannot give any opinion because I don't know how it works.
Basically, what it works is with an app. So you have a car and you want to work as a taxi, but you only work with the app. So people that need a car, they just use the app, and the car that is closest to them, they can come and pick them up. And in a way, you spend less because you don't buy a car, and basically it's one car that can do many trips for many people. But of course, like you pay the service. Like, it's like a taxi service, let's say, but more the cost is based on how many cars are available, offer and demand.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So like the price can go down or can go very up. It can go very down or or it can go very up. Like if there is no too many Ubers around, then the price will go up. But if it's too many Ubers, then the price will crazy down.
So doesn't it mean that, for example, when there is not many Uber cars, people will take a taxi because it will be cheaper than the Uber?
Well, usually, or at least in Mexico, the Uber is always cheaper. And to be honest, because of the culture of the taxi in Mexico, it's just better to take the Uber. Like it's safer.
Oh,
They drive better, and they just it's cleaner, and you know it's just better. Like in Mexico, like I wouldn't say that taxis are dying in the cities where Uber is taking over, but definitely they are losing their jobs very, very, very fast.
who is losing the jobs?
The taxi drivers.
The taxi drivers. So okay, so that. Yeah, and what do you do with the taxi drivers that are without the
They
job?
become Uber drivers.
They become
Most of them. But the cool thing,
But then they have to have money to buy a car.
yeah, they need money to buy a car because the Uber policies is kind of like it needs to be a car that is not that bad for the environment. That is kind of newer and not that bad. And if you really want to help the environment, there is a version that is ecological. So if you want to contribute for the environment, you can select the option that is ecological car, and sometimes it's even the same price. So at least in Mexico, like I'm just like I don't know in others. It's kind of like okay, it's good, and it's just safer. Like you can even record the trip, so it's very safe. And the thing is that a taxi kind of needs to go around to pick up people.
Oh, but here in Belgium they have like stands, you know, like points.
Yeah. Also in Mexico there are some. Yeah, there are some that you can call them and they come.
Here
and
it's
stuff
only
like
that.
Okay.
Here it's only like
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So they are not going around?
No.
Oh, okay. In Mexico go around.
No, we never have taxis here like just driving around looking for passengers. No.
Okay. I don't know if... I'm almost sure that Uber is here because I saw that there is...
It must be.
Yeah.
But I live outside the city.
Yeah. But do you think that is a good solution? Kind of. At least a little bit better. Like, because for me, to be honest, like, it has been a long time since I drive a car. And I just use Uber. And I remember my niece, she's like 4 years old, and she only has seen me being picked up by an Uber. So she said like, oh no, don't, wait until your car comes. Like she believes that I have a car that comes for me, like some sort of limousine or something like that. But it's actually an Uber. But for me, I think like I make the, you know, like the numbers, and like it's cheaper than having a car.
Yeah, but okay, now you're talking the money part. And then, of course, the other thing which is very good is the fact that there is no extra car produced for you, means that the ecological footprint of the production of that car has not been made. And that's a good thing, of course.
Yeah.
But then, for example, in my case, if I go to the festivals, I need a van. Because like the big tents that you have put away, the blue ones, they go in there, and then all the stuff that we have is going also in there, and then the small one that we dragged out, the small caravan that we dragged out, also goes behind there. So, I mean, in my opinion, there should be like, let's say, a park, you know, like a park where you go and
you just grab a car. Like,
a car, and that you can easily get at a reasonable price. For I don't know how many hours, or I mean, parks like everywhere. And then, okay, you go from this place to this place.
Yeah.
And here there is a park as well. You don't need to go back and bring the car back.
Yeah.
You see? And that those cars are moving from one park to another, that you can just leave it there when you finished using it.
Well, there is something kind of like that in the city. The thing is that your case is a kind of particular case because you live out of the city. And most of the people, well, maybe not most of the people, but many people live in
But
cities.
I could go from here to a city by bus, for example.
The reason...
Or with my bicycle. If I go to Marchand-Famenne, I can go with my bicycle, pick up a car, do what I need to do with that car.
Okay.
Yeah. And even bring it back and come back with my bicycle.
Maybe that could happen. Right now in many cities what is happening is it's basically what you're describing, but not with cars. They use scooters.
Ah, yeah.
The scooters is basically what you're describing, and you leave it wherever you want, but it's a scooter. Like
now they have steps.
It has a limit, you know.
It's like in Brussels, they have these steps. Steps.
It's
like
these scooters?
It's with small wheels.
Yeah.
But that's not a scooter, right? That's a step.
The thing that they call it a scooter.
Ah, okay.
In everywhere, but of course for me too, a scooter it's bigger.
Yeah. Okay.
But now it's called a scooter. But
I didn't know that. Yeah.
But it's the same concept that you are planning. So it's something that could happen. What do you think about the scooters? Like that's a good idea, right? They are electrical.
Yeah. I don't know how much they are used, and also like I heard, I sometimes see them like parked anywhere, just any place, and sometimes I see them laying around. Of course, with a car, it wouldn't be possible to do something like that. Yeah, I think actually that's a very good question, but I'm not so sure. Because in the cities you have the trams and you have the metro.
Yeah, and if you really make the numbers, like it's not very cheap.
Ah, okay.
The scooter, like.
But the metro is not very cheap either, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I cannot compare because I've never used the steps.
I would say that is basically kind of the same price. Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah, I guess the only thing is that the scooter give you the flexibility to go exactly to the point that you want to go. You know, like you grab it and you go exactly to the point.
Yeah. So
with a bus, you need to bus the station or the
Yeah. Well, in my case, then I would take the metro or the tram, but that also has got to do with my age and with the risks that you take using the scooter. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's not for everybody the scooter, but cars could do that with cars.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, something like that. But now you're talking about the city, but I would go bigger than the city.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's a business model.
Yeah, but I'm not really into business because this is again the thing for me. The important thing is that everybody is able to make a decent living. What do I mean with a decent living is that you can have healthy food. It doesn't have to be fancy food. Healthy food, preferably from the season. A good insulated house, not cold, electricity. But for example, like now you have a price for electricity. And it doesn't matter how much you consume. For me, there would be something like quotas. Like the first quota is like the minimum that people really need to have like a decent life. But here, this is like really very difficult again, because a decent life to me will be very different than to many other people.
But wait, so you pay one price for electricity?
Yeah, we have like a fixed price for our electricity that we pay. I mean, we make a contract with a company, with an electricity, with an energy provider.
Yeah.
And you can choose with a flexible price or with a fixed price. me and my husband, we took a fixed price, and now it's in our favor, right now. Yeah, but it could have been the other way around, that if there is a lot of energy, that the market price goes down, and that we would be paying more than with the flexible.
Okay.
So we have the choices.
That's interesting.
But for me, what I think which is correct, yeah, the correct thing is like with quotas, that it is calculated. How much electricity do we need?
If I were the boss.
If I were the boss, yeah. So, and that quota, like this is like the first quota is calculated per person in a household. Okay, is so much, and that's the lowest price.
Oh.
And once you have consumed that and you go higher because you're sloppy and you play from morning
it's exactly
until...
like that in Mexico.
Is it?
Exactly like that.
Yeah?
You have like a point where it's like, okay, like this is what you need for living. So this has one price for kilowatt. But after this, it's like, dude, like this is more than you need for living. So the kilowatt gets up.
Yeah.
And gets up. And
yeah. And what is happening?
Well, it's still problems because, for example, many people, let's just say that you do that. But poor people live not one normal family, but let's say that the equivalent of 2 families in one house. Mm-hmm. So the consumption would be like theoretically like double. Like let's just say it would be less, but let's just say it double. And that's, let's just say that as soon as you pass this little line between consuming normal and consuming more, the price goes quite high.
But the quota must not go per household; it must go per person in the household.
I don't know how complicated it is to do it that way, or how it could be.
Of course,
they do it by house in Mexico, and what happened is that many people just steal the electricity.
Yeah, but you can use electricity. But I mean, people who have, and the money from what is going higher, must be used to help other people.
Like kind of, I understand. Like all the exceeding money from that should be used for something related to helping people.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the thing is that Mexico has a lot of like these kind of things, like helping people and elderly and stuff like that. But I don't know how. I don't know if the electricity is used that way, like particularly. But definitely, what happened is that many people steal the electricity. Like
but here it's quite difficult. Okay, so for example, people who steal electricity, that would be like a really huge sanction.
Yeah.
I mean, because let's say that the first quota should be at cost price.
Yeah.
Yeah. So from the company, so no profit for the company. Just give. Yeah, and then that would mean that if somebody steals, that they are robbing the community.
I mean, in essence, that's what, at least like in theory, that's what happened in Mexico. But in theory, the electricity is not privatized. There is only one company, and it's from the government. So it's subsidized. Like you are paying less than the value of the electricity. And in some years ago, previous president, it's called Enrique Peña Nieto, he tried to make reforms to allow private companies to go to the electricity market, but they just like rejected. Now it was approved, but now rejected, and it ended up being rejected. But that happens with electricity, that happens with petroleum. For example, the natural gas that we use here and stuff, they used to be private companies in Mexico, or they are private companies in Mexico, and the prices sometimes it goes crazy for Mexico. So now the current president, what he did is that he created a company, like a public company, and like the price is crazy. Like it's like maybe
Going down,
maybe 2 or 3 times less. Mm-hmm. And of course the private companies
have to go down.
Have to go down, but there is a period of craziness of being upset, and like they don't want to lose their business. I think it could work if a lot of people really pay their things, because many people steal electricity, and there is a lot of shady things.
Yeah, well, here it's not too bad. But then again, like it's like Mexico is how big is the population? It's a big country.
It's big. It's big. They always ask me, and I never know the number, but I know that it's big. Yeah. It's around the top 15. For example, Mexico City is around the top 15 biggest cities. In one point, it was in the number 1 or something like that. Right now, many Indian cities have been exponentially growth, so now Mexico is not like in the top. But it's big.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of it's difficult to control so many people.
Yeah. That's actually also one problem, eh? It's very hard to control when you're with so many.
Yeah.
But this is a small country, we are 11 million something.
Yeah.
This is a small country. Of course, there's so much things that can be done, but there is no will to do it.
One thing that actually I was telling you the first time we met, that it was for me was shocking that this is the capital of the European Union, kind of in a way, and so many homeless that is like.
I haven't seen that in a while. I mean, when I was aware of it, when there was like a big wave of refugees that arrived, my husband and me, we collected all kinds of stuff. It was cold and the people were outside, and we brought tents and all kinds of stuff to those people, and because the government wasn't doing anything. And I'm very sensitive to this type of things. For example, if I go to a war cemetery, cemetery, I can easily get depressed. So that's one of the reasons why I don't want to go to India, because I heard stories like it's so terrible. So I'm not. I mean, I don't want to risk it because I know that this is going to hurt me too much, And like I don't go often to Brussels only if I need to, because I feel it's so unjust. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
And then like all the countries in the whole world should make like a one-child policy, because automatically that would bring down the number of people on the planet pretty fast, and just and it would help a lot. It would help a lot. It would reduce a lot of suffering, and of course, sharing. There should be enough. If we know everything we need to do to manage this properly. Now, one of the reasons why, in my opinion, governments don't make a point of this one-child policy, some of them, are not the only, but some of them, is that if you have a big population, it is much easier to suppress them. In the capitalist system, to make sure that they don't keep on demanding much more, because everybody knows that we have a very strong survival instinct, and that I give you an example, and this is things that actually happen. Suppose that you're working a very, very faithful and a good worker, and you're working for 15 years in the same factory, and you've always done a good job, and then suddenly you...
Let's say in a newspaper.
Let's say in the newspaper. So, okay, you maintain the machines of the newspaper, and you've done that for 15 years, and you go to your boss and you say, look, sir, my daughter now, she's 15 years, she's doing good in school, and she would like to go to high school. Can I please have a raise?
Yeah.
And the boss says, oh, you're not happy? You don't need to come anymore. There is 100 other people waiting for your bowl of rice. This is reality. And even worse than that. Yeah, like, where is it? Is it in Qatar? There is pure slavery. And Dubai and all this. All those places that have such a luxury stuff, and it's so fancy to go there. But come on, how can you stay in a luxury apartment when you know that it's been built, that it's on the back of sweat of people that have not been paid correctly, that have not been treated correctly? How can you do that? How can you do that?
Now, when you were saying about this, like, because basically what you're saying is that it maintains the status quo because there is always one that can do your job, right? Like, so it can, they don't need to increase your salary because there is another one doing it, maybe younger, etc. And what do you think about, like, the future? Like, do you think, like, technology is part of the solution for the environment or for this situation? Like, if we reach a point where machines can do the work of humans?
Well, you see, there is many different situations in the world. Some that I'm aware of, and many that I'm not aware of. Okay? So, when I look here,
yep,
in Belgium, yeah, well, one very good example is you were telling me that there's a pizza machine here.
Yeah.
There's a machine that you just order your pizza, and there is not a single person that is involved in it. So it's only the preparations, and all the rest is the machine doing it. That means that one person less is required. That's one person less working.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, on the other hand, yeah, so there is so many people without a job that don't go to work, and those that go to work, they are like overworked.
Yeah.
Working way too much. When are they going to put this in balance? I mean, okay, if we have a machine, and businessmen, they prefer machines. If a machine can do it, let the machine do it. They don't fall sick. If there is a problem, you get a mechanical or you get the person to fix it, and that's it. They never ask for a raise.
No unions.
No unions. They don't complain. So they go for the machine.
Yeah.
Okay. So what the hell are those people overworked over? Here, if you get sacked, yeah, or if your company or the company you're working for is going bankrupt, you get unemployment payment.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is going from 90% to a certain time, if you haven't gotten your job, I don't know, to 60%, and at a certain moment it cannot go down anymore. Okay, but in my opinion, it's not stimulating people to go to work.
Okay.
In our law, it says that they cannot force people to take a job that is not in their league. I mean, that if you have studied for something, they should not force you to do a job between brackets.
Beneath you.
Yeah, between brackets, beneath you.
Okay.
Because to me, all jobs are important, all of them.
So if you were the boss...
If I were the boss, those who work should work a little less, and those who don't work should work a bit more. And there would be much less burnouts. There would be much less sick people. Yeah. It would save so much money in the healthcare system.
Like for example,
same like the cars. If public transport were to be good, healthcare systems would pay much less. They would have much less expenses.
Like for example, these countries that they have tested these 4 days work weeks, that they just only work for 4 days. They have shown that the work is done and people are efficient and stuff, working 1 day less.
Yeah, but this is now, you're talking about 1 day less, but this is one example, because there is other systems that say 6 hours a day instead of 8 hours a day, but 6 days a week instead of 7 days, and instead of 5 days a week also, and it also works. So there is many ways. It's that it's unbalanced, and then they push. Do you know that some systems have, this is like so inhumane. Factories, every single year, they kick out the 10% less productive people. They have to get out and to be replaced.
Things that there is also one thing that you said, that we value this kind of position about money. That's like how the people value it, but on the other hand, the system value the production. If you are not productive,
you get out. No, productive, because I think I'm a very productive person, but not in the way that our system wants it to be. Okay. So that's again a different thing. So my production doesn't count.
Needs to feed the beast.
It needs to feed the beast, exactly.
So what do you think could be a solution?
No, we have to come down to earth. We have to get back where we belong. Connect to Mother Nature. Be loving for each other, caring for each other, and by taking care of the planet, already you're doing that. Yourself also.
And what do you think about working hours, like for example for Workaways, maybe only 1 hour a day? No?
Well, it's a thing
it's a concept, to be more relaxed.
Yeah, but I think that this is like really. I think you had a relaxed time, I guess. I think.
Yeah. It has been very relaxed. I was just putting it in the table. Maybe you accept and said,
Oh, you would stay? You wouldn't go tomorrow?
Yeah, exactly. I said maybe I will stay and...
No. But if you come for the festival, I'm sure this will be good fun. But it's more work, and then it's more work than 4 hours a day.
Maybe for concluding, if you can tell me how, because we heard so much about the festival and I know what you do in the festival, but how's the environment in the festivals? What is it? Is music around? How
there is music around, there is dancing, sometimes there is entertainment,
And it's just fun, having fun.
It's fun. Oh, we have so much fun. But of course we also tackle serious things, but how to say? Corona has taken away so many festivals, and actually I only have done one, and Bombal. And Bombal is one that I know from the very, very, very first edition.
Okay.
And the very first edition, it wasn't very good. But then from all the people that came with a stand, they never came back except I did. So I never ever missed a single edition. And actually from the second edition onwards, it was always really very, 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 very good. And now, this year, that's the only festival that I could go to. And it was really very good and very lovely. And it was very small. It was 1,400 people total. Yeah.
Oh, it's some people.
Yeah, it's very small. For Boombal, it's very small.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and everybody had the COVID test or had the PCR test or had already been vaccinated.
Wait, that is in
This
Belgium.
year. Yeah, in Belgium.
In which area? It's north, south?
Yeah, more north.
More
More north, yeah.
So more Flemish.
Yeah, Flemish, yeah. But before, people used to come from Brazil, from all over the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. But now there were many French people, many Dutch people. It was a bit different because, yeah, of this COVID
And
situation.
everything is around the environment.
No, what do you mean? You mean about?
Like this festival is everything about the environment?
No. No,
Okay.
it's folkloric.
Okay.
But you can feel that the people, there is so much love and respect.
Yeah. But in your stand, it's focused about the environment.
Yeah. And one action we did now for the first time was like the free shop.
Yeah.
So we invite the people to bring the stuff already before the festival. Like saying we're going to have a free shop. If you have still stuff which is still good, you can bring it. And then also we have the lost and found. And that is very rewarding because people are so happy when they find their stuff back. So it's also very rewarding. And then we also talk about our project in Indonesia.
Yeah.
And yeah, what is going on, why it's going on, yeah.
Okay.
What has the West to do with the fact that the situation over there is like that over there?
Yeah, that everything resonates, right? Like you do one thing here, and it gets here, and then it eventually goes back, like the problem. Like, for example, there was, I think, one country, I don't remember the name of the country, but it was in Africa. Yeah, definitely. That their president kind of, it's just preparing for, he said that in less than 2015, like, I don't know which year, but before 2050, that he said, like, we're going to be done. Like, the water is going to rise and we are just going to die. We need to plan. We are going to migrate and stuff like that because and at the end, these countries from Africa most of the time are the ones that actually got the less of the overproduction of CO2 and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's not fair. Absolutely not.
It's incredible, right? Like this.
Yeah, that's what I have been telling you. To get money to do stuff in Indonesia.
Yeah.
It's like so hard, so hard, and it's like, come on, guys! I want to do the job for free. Just give me the financial means. You don't need to pay me. I have enough. So far, so good. I have enough for me. But
it's difficult to reach people to get a clue about this idea, right? Most people just don't want to.
They don't want to know.
Yeah. Do you feel tired sometimes?
Yes, very.
And what makes you go back and continue with the work?
Love, I guess. Love, compassion as well, empathy, responsibility, all this kind of things.
And is love for the planet or love for the people in the planet? Or?
But we are part of the planet. And the people there, they are a part of the planet, so they are a part of me. You are a part of me. I'm a part of you. And I'm a part of all the rest going around here. We're all in the same boat. We're all on the same planet. We're all one. We're all connected to each other.
So what would you say to people that are out there that they don't think too much about making changes for the planet? That could be your message, that we are all together in this? Or what else would you tell them?
Maybe I would tell them stop. Just stop. Just stop. Stop. Get connected.
Consume less.
That's one of the things. Love more. Share.
Recycle.
Recycling is important, but it's not we have to definitely continue to recycle, but the key is consume less. I mean, that is not going to solve everything, huh? Definitely not, but this is like the key. Like less kids, less people, and less, I mean, I don't know if that's possible, but it's like, okay, like to drive a car, we need a driver's license. But to have kids, we don't need anything. Okay, so it's a big responsibility to have a kid.
What about sex license? You
Sex
don't have
license.
sex until you pass the test.
No, this is something that you have to experience. And for me, it's like have sex, have good sex with respect and with consent. Yeah?
That's the test?
And exercise for making kids. Just don't make them. That's what I would say. Now, the thing is for me, if you would ask me, you can choose. You can have you can have 6 kids, and you will suffer a lot, and they will suffer a lot because you won't have quality time for them because there are too many, because it will be too expensive, because it will be too much trouble, blah 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 blah. Mm-hmm. Or you have 1 kid, and you can take proper care of it.
Yeah. What about no kids?
Fine.
What about a no kid policy? You cannot have kids.
No.
That's too much.
Yeah, because we have something that is called instinct. Yeah? And, okay, it wouldn't be bad. For the planet, it would be the best. That would be like really the best. Yeah? But I have 1 kid because of my instinct.
Yeah.
Yeah? And I'm very happy that I have her, because if I wouldn't have her, I wouldn't be here anymore. That's for sure. Practically for sure. Of course, you never say for sure, but you're sure, because... But, definitely close. Yeah? But, yeah, it's so precious. A kid is really a precious thing. It's a miracle. I mean, of course, so many things are a miracle, but I mean, it becomes so touchable, you know, a very, very touchable miracle, yeah, because we've been taught to take things for granted, yeah, like the planet, okay, it's there, it's for granted, it's always going to be there, is it? So, but when you, I don't know, it's something very special to be a mom. But on the other hand, it's very worrying. Like for me, it's like, what is going to happen to the young people? What is going to happen with the kids that have just been born and are yet to be born? Yeah. It worries me. It worries me very, very much. And now we are back again, like the big question for me is, from what moment is the suffering worth the joy? Yeah.
Actually,
I have no answer for that.
I was reading today, like a study by the MIT that they say that in 2050, I think, or before 2050 again, society will really have a deep collapsing due to global warming and problems of that scale, lack of water and things like that. So it's kind of like what is going to happen to young people, and it's going to be very hard. You are in that idea, right? The idea of in the future is going to be like
very hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. but it's not like this idea. It's so obvious.
What would be
And
your
we are
prediction?
actually with our nose in the shit, in the caca, and it's stinky.
What would be your prediction? Like, how do you see the world in 30 years?
In 30 years, that's way too far.
Okay,
I cannot
15.
imagine. More and more floods, more and more hurricanes, more and more earthquakes, less earth, more rising temperature, more people dying from heat waves, more droughts,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, more crops that are going to be destroyed.
Now here you experience a
Yeah.
flood that was completely unusual, right?
This has never happened to this extent ever before.
How many people you told me died here?
Over 40 people died.
Yeah,
In a small country like Belgium, that's a lot.
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And it was only located in this region.
It was a part of a small
At least
part
the
of
Ardennes.
Germany.
Oh, okay.
The Ardennes, Pépin-Ster is also the Ardennes. Yeah.
Okay. And you experienced it
Yeah.
firsthand, right? Like the fear of,
Yeah, I nearly drowned.
yeah.
Mm.
How was it for you? Was like experience?
Oh, it was very sad because actually that was just again a prediction, something that I have predicted before. And I'm always sad because the things that I predict, I don't want them to come out. Then it's not that I'm a clairvoyant or something like that. It's like so logical. It's like so obvious. I mean, there's really nothing special about it. So why is it that I can see it and so many people don't see it? I just think that they don't want to see it. That's what I think. I don't have a specially high IQ or anything. I'm just a very, very common person.
I guess it's also kind of difficult because, for example, yesterday I was watching a video about like if not consuming meat it's actually better for the environment or not.
Definitely.
They were explaining that the people that says that between mass production of meat and only grass-fed cows, for example, or cattle, actually the mass production is better for the planet. But if between that and not eating meat, definitely not eating meat, it's a lot better.
Yeah, of course.
They were talking about, for example, soy, that people said like, hey, you shouldn't consume soy because of the environment. But actually, most of the soy that actually is consumed
It's for the animals.
is for the animals.
Yes.
And stuff like that. So, but like I listen to that and I believe it, and then I just see a burger and it's just like really, like, I'm sorry, like it's just so, and I just want to eat it. What do you think we can do to for people like me?
Well, I think that you should raise a cow.
And kill it? Kill
Yes.
my friend the cow?
Yes.
So first I put the name of the cow, I raise it,
Yes.
I love her, and then
Yes.
I kill her.
Yes. You want to eat meat? I mean, this
In
cow
McDonald's.
is some other cow's baby. You are your mom's baby. The cow becomes like your baby, and then you kill it.
Okay, what about, as you said, and instead of eradicate, what about moderation? Like maybe say you eat meat 2 times a week instead of every day.
Look, remember we had the story about the chicken. I have a chicken, a place with chickens.
Mm-hmm.
I take care of my chickens, and my chickens give me eggs.
Mm-hmm.
So they help me to produce manure,
Mm-hmm.
and they process my cooked food, because cooked food is not so good in the compost. They can also eat stuff from the compost heap and all this. So it's a way of give and take. Yeah? And at a certain point, my chicken or chickens will, probably not all at the same time, stop producing eggs because they are old, and then they have right to a time of retirement.
Chicken nuggets appear in the...
Not yet.
Okay.
They are retired.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I see that they start to struggle because they are getting bone trouble and they are getting old. And then I put them out of their misery. With love, gratitude, with as little pain as possible. Yeah. And with respect. And I clean it up and I eat it.
So you would be eating meat every when? Like every year?
Very little.
Every year?
Depends. It depends. Like if you want to have your chickens every year, then you need to have a rolling program.
Do you think that people would accept it?
That's up to them.
But you see that as a possible solution?
But no, there is more than this solution. I'm just like giving one example. But for example, like long time ago, when the Indian people, they were hunting with the blowpipe. Sometimes they were out of the house with 2 people or 3 people together for 2 weeks to hunt one animal. And usually they would have like the weakest animal that they would be finding. So it would be like a natural selection. Now things are not natural selections anymore.
Well, actually, it's a very good point.
Huh?
They take the tirest gazelle, let's say.
Yeah, or the one that is injured, or that the genetic material is not so good.
So it will be like the equivalent.
Yeah, and also this is like the law of nature. Nature is sometimes it looks cruel to us. It is sometimes cruel, but sometimes it's for the better. For example, like the weakest one is taken out. The weakest one is taken out, and those that don't continue to reproduce are the better, the strong ones.
What about the substitutes of meat? Like corn?
Okay, corn is a fungus, so I think that is a good solution. Yeah.
And these things that is like, I cannot believe is meat, and this thing, because they are creating some sort of thing that tastes like meat, like cow meat. But I heard from some researchers that actually like it's good for the environment, but it's actually very bad for us. It's a processed thing. It's so processed that it's not very good for us. But I don't know if you think that's something like that.
I don't know exactly what it is.
It's like a vegetable mixture, but it's a lot of. It also has chemicals.
Yeah, I don't know enough.
But corn?
Corn is a fungus. Corn is a protein rich. Yeah.
So that's a good option.
I don't know what is the ecological footprint. Yeah, but when I have guests that are not really vegetarian, I use a lot of alternatives to make the step easier. So, but actually we don't really need that. You can, if you have a good combination of nuts, the yeast flakes, beans, carbohydrates and vegetables, you should be fine.
Well, I will take this time to consider for some weeks if I can become vegan or at least vegetarian.
But actually, in my opinion, people who want to eat meat must be capable industrialized meat must be capable of raising their animal and kill it, clean it out. If not, it's not fair. That's my opinion. Yeah? If you're not capable of killing it, if you can't kill the beast, don't eat it. That's my opinion.
It's easy, right? Just to go to the store and it's everything ready.
You don't even see, you don't have a connection anymore. Again, connection, it's all about connection. Those hunters in the woods, during their chase, they're connecting with the animal. Yeah? They want to catch it and kill it, but there is a connection and it's fair.
Some sort of respect.
Of course, mutual respect from the animals toward the hunter and the hunter towards the animal. There's the feel, there's the respect, there's the outwitting.
The thing is that the game has always existed, but we kind of rigged the game now. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like, we put them here and we just raise them
and shot them full with antibiotics and with antidepressants.
Yeah, and in the video they were saying that actually the farts of the cows are super bad. It's one of the things that is the worst for the environment is the farts of the cows.
The farts and the burps, because it's got 4 stomachs.
And we produce so many of them that we actually create a very big problem. Like it shouldn't exist.
No.
You have given me a lot of things to think about. Well, thank you very much for hosting me here.
Thank you very much for listening to me. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for all the work you've been doing. Thank you for the good company. Thank you for the interest. It was fantastic for me, absolutely. I'm never going to forget you.
Oh.
I love you.
I love you too. That's connection.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about today's episode? Don't forget to share your thoughts answering the polls and questions in the Spotify version of this podcast. Remember that in the description there are links to the interviewee song. You can also listen to the Spanish version of this podcast with different guests or listen to it into different platforms. If you want to watch videos about my travels to different countries, visit my YouTube channel. You can also support me in my Patreon, Buy Me a Coffee, or Anchor page. In all of them, my username is juanaround. In Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and in all social networks, you can also find me as juanaround. All links are in the description of this episode and in the description of this podcast. Subscribe and share. See you around.
Your booze mean nothing. I've seen what makes you cheer.